again. Welcome to Well Life with Linda Harris. You know, the last time I spoke with you, we were talking about lifestyle changes, and today I want to talk to you about change in general. Before I do, let you know, they're doing some testing around here, work on the building, and they just let us know they may be testing fire alarms. So we'll just kind of laugh along when they do that if it's in the background, and we won't let it upset us too much. So change, what does that mean? You know, when I talked to you about lifestyle change, I talked about lifestyle change is a change that helps alter behaviors, habits such as physical activity, sleep, diet. Change, in other words, or a lifestyle change, I should say, is something that we choose or aim to do. In other words, when I have clients come and see me at Well Life Institute and Wellness and they want to do some wellness coaching or lifestyle changes, then that's what we do. We purposefully set forth things that they can change and teach them how to do that over time. But then we have those unexpected changes. You know, all of us have those changes. And unexpected changes are things that catch us off guard. They can be things that are out of our control, like a job loss, a death, a divorce, or separation. Disasters like COVID, the pandemic, our economy and the situation that it's in. If you're a business owner, it could be loss of employees or even loss of clients. A sickness or an accident will definitely cause change in our life. And sometimes we're not really prepared to handle those changes. But ultimately, if you think about change, it is never ending. In our everyday routine, we have changes that happen. Something that upsets the car. As a matter of fact, I literally whirled in here to the studio at the last minute, and then there were no parking spaces. So that made it worse. Normally, I'm a person who likes to be 15 or 20 minutes early to everything. I just feel like being prepared. But some things happened today that upset the cart. They made things change in a way that caused me to be late. So changes that happen every day still will affect us in our emotional and mental health. How we manage those changes tells us a lot about our mental and emotional health. So learning to manage changes in your life better can be very beneficial to you. Your outlook on life and the world definitely will determine what your changes or how you accept changes or how you deal with changes can be. You can be a person who tends to be more negative, or maybe you know someone in your life who tends to be more negative and you have observed this in them. But if a person is more negative, even everyday upsets can upset their cart, so to speak. It can be harder for them because they have a more negative outlook. But if you are negative or you have someone that you know that's negative and tends to respond that way, it doesn't mean you have to be negative your whole life. You can learn tools that change your thought patterns, that help you to be a more positive person. If you have a positive outlook, you can more handle stress. You know, change, whether it's good or bad, will be a little bit easier for you.
We're in our 18th year of practice at the Hammer Chiropractic Center, and we've seen over 15,000 different people in the Rocky Mount area. 40% of headaches actually come from a neck problem. Many patients come in taking multiple aspirin, over-the-counter medications and such a day, and we can get you to stop doing that and actually fix the problem so the headaches don't arise anymore. A lot of people think chiropractic hurts. It does not. Most of the people come in and they feel great when they leave.
Get ready for Rock the Mount. North Carolina Wesleyan University's annual event is coming. Tuesday, August 20th from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Proudly sponsored by Southern Bank and Trust. Join us as we welcome the class of 2028. Vendors and community partners are welcome. Contact Elliott Smith at 2524-541682 and rock the Mount on the campus of North Carolina Wesleyan University.
Okay, so we were interrupted by an alarm. They are testing those, and we know we need to do that for safety and other reasons. I'm going to try to backtrack a little bit. We were talking about the positive attitudes, or the negative, but even if you have a positive attitude, a positive outlook on life and on change, change still will affect us emotionally, because something that was normal or a routine part of our life is fixing to change. In other words, let's say you decide to make a big move or change jobs, to be able to do something that you enjoy doing more. If you've been in another place for a while working, even though you chose to make this change, it still can be scary. We can be fearful. What if I don't do as well as I thought I would do? What if I don't like it as much? What if they don't like me? These are questions that we all go through in our minds and that we deal with. So we still can be a little fearful, or it can be a scary situation, even if it's a change in our life that we want to do. I don't normally talk that much about my personal life, but I'm just going to a little bit go into some personal things, because I feel like this is what led me to talk about this change today. First of all, I want to start with my mom. You know what? My mom was the strongest person I know. She's no longer with me anymore, except for in the things that I do that are so much like her. And when sometimes I feel like I smell her smell, or see her out of the corner of my eye, or see that little cardinal redbird come and perch on my porch, and then I know that my mom's near. I'm not sure why she was so strong, except that my mom raised 4 children by herself with no support from our father, very little support from family members. And she did this at a time when being a single mom was considered more taboo than it is in today's time. But during this time, she seemed to develop this residual strength to carry on in hard times, to keep on going. And let me tell you, there were many hard times that my mother had to get us through on her own with no help. And for some reason, I guess that residual strength I inherited from her. It was instilled in me in some way, in spite of the things that happened to me or have happened to me in my life. That residual strength that she had, I now have, and I'm so thankful for that. Also, my faith in God definitely is what gives me strength that many people say I have. You know, His word says, He is our strength. When we're weak, He is our strength in times of trouble. Maybe you've been told that you're a strong person too. Maybe you are someone who tends to handle things more for the family. Are you seen from an outward appearance to do better when you're handling change or troubles or problems? Oftentimes life throws us a curve, and those on the outside don't see what we're going through on the inside. You can be having a feeling on the inside that is panic and anxiety, but yet your personality or your way or whatever strength that is that you have in you helps you to be able to carry on and get through the difficult time. I've always said I'm the kind of person that most of the time when a storm hits or a change comes, I'm ready, set to go and handle it. It's not until after everything's been taken care of that I may, if it happens, emotionally or mentally fall apart. And we're all different, and that's okay for us all to be different. There have been many times in my life when I've been going through something, and I've had people say, "Linda, you're such a strong person. You've got this. I know you're going to be okay." And maybe you've had that same thing happen to you if you tend to be a stronger person. And on the inside, when they would say that to me and I felt like everything was falling apart, I was crying on the inside, "Lord, I don't want to be strong. I'm tired of having to be strong. When is it going to get easier so I don't have to be strong?" But yet I'm thankful for the strength that He has given me. Most often being a strong person does mean that we're the ones that's going to handle everything for the family, for the friends, for your business that you work for whatever your situation is. And we do kick in and handle that most often. most people expect us to do that without falling apart. So if you know a strong person in your life who tends to kick in and handle those things when everything's falling apart, remember that they're human too, that they may be having anxiety or fear or panic in their life as well. Because again, we're all different, but we all need support and care. You know, I have had a lot of change in my life and in my business over the last several years. Initially, a huge part of that change was brought on by COVID. I was forced, me and many other businesses, to close or to make changes. And when we make changes in a business, it affects not only us, but our employees, clients, customers, whatever you may call them. And even still today, the economy is keeping us in a constant state of change. If you have a business or if it's in your personal life, we're having to adjust our food, what we buy, how much we can spend. You know, we're having to adjust employees sometimes at work. Because I'm a strong person, I thought I could implement change and still hang on to all the other things that I provide in my business to my clients. What happened was, as I brought in new things and change in the direction that I was headed towards, it began to affect me physically, mentally, and spiritually, emotionally. I began to suffer from what we call adrenal exhaustion. My energy level was zilch, and I began to get sick easier. My body was tired. I wasn't getting enough sleep. In other words, I was doing every day what I teach my clients not to do. And I realized that I needed to make a change. And actually, I've planned this change for the last year. You can ask any of my family members and clients you run into. I would say, you know what? Next week, my new schedule starts. Next week, I'm only going to be doing this. And next week never came. So just recently, I decided to make this change because I knew it would be better for me, for my health. I knew it would be better for my family, for my clients, and my staff if I implemented this change and did what I felt was most important and best for all of us. If you have change in your life, whether it's unexpected, whether it's expected, remember all change is scary. If you're fearful of change, you need to talk to someone. That's one of the best things to do. Have family members and friends that you can talk to just to get your emotions out or your thoughts out. Do you know that just speaking about the things that you have anxiety or fear about, speaking about the changes in your life and the uncertainty, hearing yourself say those things can actually bring a healing and calming effect. When you hear it out loud, sometimes it doesn't sound as scary or as bad as you think. So make sure you've got people that you can talk to. You know, I wanted to tell a story about my oldest son. When he graduated high school, his sister lived in Florida, and he decided he was going to go to Florida and live with her, roommate with her, and get a job there. And he was so excited about it. And as a mother, I was very fearful. And I already had one child living away. And I just so hated for him to move away. But I wanted him to be able to chase his dreams and do the things he wanted to do. So the night before he left, I walked upstairs and he was packing his bags, getting his last minute things ready. And I said, well, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? Do you need help? And he said, no. And then all of a sudden, he just went into this almost panic cry. And he said, Mom, what if I fail? What if I go to Florida and it doesn't work out and I fail? So I just looked at him and smiled and I said, Michael, then you come home and we try plan B. You know, sometimes when change is happening in our life and we're afraid of things, we can have a plan B. I'm actually the queen of plan B. I always tell my children that. When you have to go through change, just go to plan B or consider it an adventure. It's just another adventure in your life. Change happens so rapidly and unexpectedly. But then the changes that we even choose to make can affect us. Again, I want to stress that to you. Making sure that you have the peace of mind knowing that when I told my son that, it gave him a peace. A peace came over him and washed over him. And he knew that it was going to be okay if things didn't work out. He could come back home and him and mom together would sit down and have a plan B. But you know what? He didn't need that plan B at that time. He went off and he got a job. And about 3 weeks after he was there, his sister moved to another town, and there he was by himself. But you know what? He never skipped a beat because, like his mother, he's strong, and he got a good job, and he worked his way up, and he was able to do many things that he enjoyed. And he didn't have to rely on that plan B. Sometimes just knowing you have that plan B set aside can help you. Changes not only affect us when we choose to make changes, but they affect the people around us. That's another thing that I tell people when I'm working with them and coaching them. You know, be thoughtful, be mindful of the other people around you, decisions that you make, even when you're setting boundaries. Boundaries are things that we talk about, and boundaries are things that we need when we're making change, because sometimes other people want to force that change on us or force us not to make the change because they are fearful. So setting boundaries, but at the same time being mindful of the people around you. You know, if you're a business owner like myself, being mindful that when I make changes, with the staff or with the way we do things or with the hours that we keep, it is going to affect people. So be mindful, because those employees may be a little fearful too. Maybe they're afraid, what if I lose my job? What if we don't have enough business? Some people do not adapt to change as easily. So being mindful of those around you when you're making changes that are going to affect them is a huge thing. It is a huge thing. I've had to be mindful that my schedule will change a little bit. I will maybe not be able to do as much hands-on work when it comes to massage therapy. I recently had an accident. The week before my schedule change happened, I had already entered it in the computer. Lo and behold, probably because the good Lord, I'm not going to blame him, but probably because he knows I'm stubborn and might still keep trying to keep doing those other things and get behind on the things I need to be doing now. I'm walking down the hall doing some things and slid and fell and injured my rotator cuff muscles, all of those. So lifting my arm, I'm having to help myself lift my arm. I'm doing therapies that I do with other clients all the time. But you know what it did? It made me slow down. It made me take a breath. This is me having the positive outlook on that. But it made me decide, Linda, this was the perfect time for you to make the change. You have to go forward in these other things that you enjoy doing as well. You have to go forward in those to go where you're wanting to take your business, to give more help to people in need of what services that you offer. So choosing the positive outlook, I've decided to just take this time to rest and not do as many clients. Even my coaching clients, I've decided to just take a time of rest, get my body built back up. I'm looking forward to a vacation at the end of this month and into September, which I plan on enjoying, and trying very hard not to just think about work. Because see, working on family time, working on yourself time, those are important things. Having me time. That's why we have healing therapies at Well Life. When I'm working with clients, or even when I'm not doing coaching with clients, and I have clients that come in that are stressed, they're very anxious, they're just going, the same way I am going in my business or have been going in my business, and they need downtime. Self-care is such an important part of our life. You know, I grew up in a time when we didn't go out and get pedicures or manicures, and you got your hair cut every once in a while, and we just didn't have so much maintenance as a lot of us women have today. So initially, I had a business for several years and had massage therapists working for me, and I still wasn't getting massage. I was so busy focusing on building my business, raising children, working at what seemed like 24/7, that I was not doing self-care. When my mother passed away, a friend came to me and said, Linda, you need to take care of yourself right now. It's an important time for you to do this, to make sure that you can get through this change in your life. And I began to get massages then, and I haven't stopped. I get massages every week or every other week because this body works hard and it needs the care. but also because my mental, spiritual, and emotional wellness is important to me. And it helps with that as well. Doing things, if you're going out and getting a pedicure, if you're a guy and you want to take time and go out and fish or hang out with the guys, these are special, important things that we do for ourselves. Anything you do for yourself like that, that takes you away from the stress of your day, that is self-care. And there is nothing wrong with that. I've said before, early on when I first started the show, our younger generation has a really big heads up on that compared to the people that are my age, because they know self-care. It's been a normal part of their life. They know how to take time out and do for themselves. Maybe they'll even end up living a longer life than we do because of that. And it's very important for our health and for our well-being to be able to do that, to do those things. I hope that you've gained some insight about change and what lifestyle change in itself is the last couple of times that we've talked about, and about change that happens in our life every day. I hope that the next change that happens to you, even the small one, when you leave to go to lunch, or if you're already at lunch and you're going back to work, or you get off for that day and you've got another place you need to be and there's a slow driving person in front of you, I hope you think about that for a moment. This is one of those changes that's an everyday change that can change how the rest of my life goes. Am I going to have road rage? Am I going to have panic? Am I going to be upset? Or am I going to go with the flow and just let it happen? Sometimes we're so busy trying to control what is happening in our life and in the world around us and in people around us that we forget to just live, to breathe and live and enjoy. It's been so hot and humid lately, especially after the storm, before the storm and after a storm that we just recently had. It was so hot and humid, and I didn't want to even go outdoors. Sometimes I do have trouble breathing in the thickness of the humidity. And I stepped outside this morning into my garden, and oh my gosh, it felt so good. If I didn't have to do this show, I can tell you I would still be sitting there just enjoying the butterflies and the birds and the wonderful little breeze that was going across in the garden and the wonderful plants that we have, and just spending time with nature and with God and grounding. Grounding is such an important thing. I don't know if I've talked about grounding on the show before. I need to give you some good information about that. But grounding our bodies helps reset our circadian rhythm. Don't know how I got off on this, but I'm going to tell you real quick because we've got some time. Your circadian rhythm can get off, and it affects the way you sleep. That is another way that affects your health and your wellness if you're not sleeping good, if you're not resting good, because our body does most of its healing when we are at rest or when we're sleeping. I'll have people come to me and say, I'm not able to sleep for 3 or 4 days, or even for 3 or 4 weeks. I've not been able to sleep. And I always tell them, go outside early in the morning, take your shoes off barefooted. Remember when we used to run around barefooted all the time? We don't do that much anymore. We are energy beings, and there's energy in the earth that energizes us, that helps balance things off, and vibrations in the earth that helps us become grounded. So if you will step outside on the ground early in the morning barefooted, they say face the sun and just draw from the energy of that, and just go out there and praise the Lord for nature and the things he's given us, and that the sun is shining, and just stand there a few minutes barefoot on the ground. And your body will be re-energized, but it will reset your circadian rhythm. Sometimes you have to do it a few times before that happens. But it will reset your circadian rhythm and help you to rest better. This is a very important thing for people who work those swing shifts where 1 month they're working this schedule and the next one they're working that, which is really very unhealthy for you. I think it's better for someone to work the same schedule all the time rather than bounce back between a day schedule, a late evening schedule, and a night schedule, because it causes havoc in your body and actually can create disease. So getting proper rest, setting your circadian rhythm, can actually help you as well in your mental and emotional life, which again can help you manage change that comes your way. Think about change maybe that could be coming your way. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at the economy. We have an election coming up. People are wondering about interest rates. We have changes after changes after changes that are going to be happening regardless to who wins the election. Those are things that we're fearful of, things that are out of our control. So think about those changes. Begin to think about what you will do, how you will react. Most importantly, try to have a positive attitude. Remember who's really in control. It's none of us, and it's not the politicians. It's the good Lord above, and He knows what's happening. So remember that. Take a deep breath and breathe. With that change, with those changes, and any other change that is coming up soon or that you will face unexpectedly. And remember, it's just another adventure. Think of it as an adventure. I love adventures. How about you? I hope that you will check me out at wellifeinstitute.com and look at the many services and the things that we do to help. You can give us a call at 252-363-7721 if you want to make an appointment or talk more about changes you may be having. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I look forward to talking with you soon about some great information that can improve your life, your health, and your wellness.